Good morning, everyone. Or perhaps I should say, good evening. Because honestly, when you live on 5 hours of sleep and spend most of your waking hours under fluorescent office lights, it truly feels like the sun is just a rumor. Welcome back to Japan Labor Rights. I'm Natsumi, and today we're pulling back the curtain on the most exhausting, insidious cultural phenomenon that poisons Japanese working life. Service Zangyō. Right now, as I record this, it's only 6:45 a.m., and I'm already crammed onto a notoriously packed commuter train into central Tokyo. My official shift doesn't even begin until 9 a.m., but in the corporate world here, especially in highly traditional sectors, unofficial start time is often treated less like a rule and more like an optimistic suggestion for when you should be finished your preparatory work. Before I even left my tiny apartment this morning, I spent a solid 45 minutes on meticulous personal grooming, applying makeup, carefully styling my hair, and ensuring my business suit was impeccable. I was performing mandatory maintenance, not indulging in self-care. I performed this effort not for my personal confidence or well-being, but because as a woman in a Japanese company, especially one in a highly visible support function like human resources, I am expected to uphold a professional, put-together appearance at all times. It is a time-consuming, uncompensated, and entirely unspoken part of the job description that is exclusively layered onto us. I am already drained, both mentally and physically, just from the sheer effort of the morning routine and the oppressive commute, and yet the legal workday hasn't even begun. That time spent commuting and that effort put into appearance, all before the clock starts ticking, is the first invisible, unacknowledged layer of the profound, unique exhaustion we face. By the time I finally step into the office, the time is 8:30 a.m., a mandatory half-hour early arrival. This early buffer time is not for my personal relaxation. It is dedicated to critical prep work. This includes sorting through the mountain of overnight emails, organizing documents for the day's high-stakes meetings, and yes, you guessed it, making sure all the senior managers have their hot, fresh tea and coffee ready for them the moment they walk in. It is a small but deeply symbolic action that immediately signals and reinforces the powerful gender hierarchy. I possess a specialized legal degree and years of expertise in labor law, yet a significant portion of my early morning is still dedicated to these traditional, non-compensated duties. It speaks volumes about who is truly valued and whose time is respected. Once the official day begins, my core job in HR is genuinely intense and high pressure. Today, for example, I've had to juggle 3 extremely demanding tasks requiring simultaneous focus. First, finalizing the complex, technical compliance paperwork to integrate a brand new labor law change into our company's massive structure. This is high-stakes, difficult legal work. Second, I have to act as the neutral party, mediating an ongoing sensitive dispute between 2 powerful senior male managers, where my primary objective is always to facilitate a quiet, stable peace, rather than challenging the existing power structure or ensuring real justice. Third, I have the logistical headache of preparing for the next nomikai, the compulsory after-hours work drinking party, which predictably falls disproportionately on the junior female staff to plan, reserve, manage the budget, and send out detailed reminders to everyone. But here is the moment of pure, daily frustration that is unique to our experience. I spent weeks developing a strategic, cost-saving restructuring idea which I presented clearly in the morning meeting. My idea was politely, almost patronizingly, acknowledged, and then immediately tabled and completely ignored. However, 10 minutes later, a senior male colleague brought up almost the exact same core concept in different phrasing, and suddenly, it was instantly hailed as a brilliant, innovative strategy for the company's future. It proves that we are expected to work the hardest and look the best, but remain the quietest and least credited. This is the essence of the gendered pressure we face. The expectation of quiet endurance. We must work twice as hard to even have our voices heard once, and even then the credit often goes elsewhere. We are penalized for leaving early, but rarely rewarded for staying late, especially when we're doing the difficult intellectual labor. Then, the moment arrives. I look up at the wall clock, and it ticks past 6 p.m. This is the precise moment the official workday ends, the time I should be legally free to leave. But this is where the real trap is sprung, and the systematic exploitation known as Service Zangyō truly begins. Service Zangyō means unpaid overtime, and it's a deliberate strategy. Many large corporations want to maintain the appearance of legal compliance, so they strictly enforce the clock-out time. However, the workload remains crushing, and the expectation to continue working past that clock-out time is non-negotiable. Why don't I just stand up and walk out the door at 6 p.m.? It is not because I possess an overwhelming heroic love for the company. It is because of a potent, toxic combination of professional obligation, social pressure, and deeply ingrained fear of retribution. If I leave promptly at 6 p.m., when my boss, my team lead, and even my colleagues are still diligently working, I am immediately and silently labeled as not a dedicated team player, or worse, as lazy and selfish. This instantly jeopardizes my year-end bonus, my future promotions, and even my long-term job security within the hierarchy. Furthermore, the critical, essential work like auditing those highly technical compliance forms that only I have the expertise to finalize will simply pile up and guarantee a devastating crisis the following morning. I am essentially blackmailed into this choice every single day. My personal life and freedom versus my career advancement and the stability of my job. Predictably, I choose my job. The low-value, repetitive work then continues for hours. From 6 p.m. until 8:30 p.m., I am performing tasks like meticulous data entry, endless digital filing, or managing the intricate logistics for the next round of job interviews. These are often tasks that don't even require my high-level HR expertise, but they absolutely require a body and brain to be present, sacrificing their time. It's during this unpaid, quiet time that the physical toll becomes most evident. I finally push back from my desk. My shoulders are locked in a painful knot. My neck is stiff from staring at the screen, and my eyes feel gritty and dry. I catch my reflection in the dark, mirrored surface of my computer monitor, and I look utterly, completely hollowed out. When I finally make my escape from the office, the late train home is quieter, yes, but the massive energy drain is now absolute and irreversible. There is nothing left inside me. No residual energy for my own hobbies, no desire for friendships, and certainly no emotional capacity left for building or nurturing relationships. My entire personal identity, every unique part of who Natsumi is outside of this building, has been systematically reduced and stripped away. I am no longer a complex individual with dreams and interests. I am simply and purely defined as the HR worker. This is the death of the self that fuels the tragic reality of Karoshi. The core, tragic message of Karoshi. The concept of death from overwork is not merely about the sudden, dramatic physical collapse that makes the news. It is fundamentally about the slow, agonizing death of your personal life. The slow suffocation of your identity, and the complete erosion of your mental well-being over years of sustained stress. I get home. I eat something quickly often, the easiest convenience store meal I can find, and I manage to squeeze in maybe 5 hours of truly fragmented sleep. Then, before the sun has properly risen, the cycle brutally repeats. There is the devastating, unromanticized reality of Service Zangyō in modern Japan. At its heart, this culture is a systematic form of wage theft, perfectly camouflaged by cultural pressure and the deeply ingrained, often weaponized, concept of ganbaru, the necessity of always doing your absolute best and persevering silently. It is exhausting, profoundly demoralizing, and for women especially, it often means sacrificing everything: your health, your family planning, your social life, for a rigid corporate system that only recognizes and validates a fraction of your real, valuable effort. But now, let's move from the emotional reality to the legal facts, because this is crucial. Service Zangyō is often blatantly illegal. Japanese labor law is unambiguous. It requires proper, premium payment for every single minute worked beyond the official contracted schedule. This must typically be paid at a substantial 125% overtime premium. When companies deliberately pressure or subtly force you to clock out exactly at 6 p.m. and then immediately command or expect you to continue working on mission-critical tasks, they are executing a direct and criminal violation of the Labor Standards Act. They are actively leveraging social norms, that immense fear of being seen as lazy, to commit blatant and systematic wage theft on a massive scale. If you are experiencing any form of threat or intimidation, even subtle glances and comments for leaving on time, or if you have evidence that your company is actively manipulating electronic time cards or demanding you erase work logs, you are not just tired. You are being criminally exploited and abused by your employer. So, how can you practically and safely protect yourself within this intense culture? First and most importantly, you must document everything meticulously. Keep a detailed private log separate from company systems, a notebook or an encrypted app recording your exact arrival and departure times, every email sent after hours, and every work task you perform off the clock. Second, do not suffer in silence. Consult a local independent labor union or contact the government's official labor standards inspection office. Rodo Kijun Kantokusho. These are confidential government-backed resources specifically established to assist workers, and crucially, you have the right to report these illegal activities anonymously without fear of repercussion. Finally, and this is perhaps the hardest boundary to set, you must begin to set small, firm, and non-negotiable boundaries for yourself. Your value as a person should never be measured by how many hours you sacrifice in an office building. We must collectively push back against the notion that your job should entirely consume your life. I want to know your personal story. If you are a woman, or anyone else working within Japan who feels the sheer weight of this exhaustion, this immense gendered pressure, this oppressive service Zangyō trap, please share your experience honestly in the comments below. Let's break the code of silence and fight for fair, legal treatment together. Thank you for watching. And please, take care of your health above all else.